Anywhere. Blake Shelton is a new book out now by retired Konawa school teacher and longtime friend of Blake Shelton, Carol Cash-Large. Carol is joining me now on Zoom to talk about some of the stories you'll find in the book and her husband Larry's many adventures with one of Oklahoma's favorite sons, Blake Shelton. Good morning, Carol.
Good morning.
Boy,
good to visit with you.
Yeah, I'm happy to have you in here. Thank you so much. You know, we want to start off by telling your story as it relates to Blake, because after all, that's really what the book is about. You share a lot of pictures of you and your husband in the book with Blake, as well as Blake's mom, dad, and sister. When did you first meet Blake? How did you get to know him so well?
Well, the first time we really met Blake was he auditioned for a little kind of an Opry-type local show in Ada, the Music Palace. It's no longer there. And he was about 12. And
wow.
he just had such a personality that it was just unbelievable. And his audition was really well. So they put him on the show. And he always brought enough family with him that that sold enough tickets almost to make the show. Has a huge family in Ada, and they're all very supportive of him.
Right.
And anyway, then we moved to the McSwain Theater, and that was where he really started playing quite a bit down there, and actually was hired. It made $50, his first $50 at the McSwain Theater in Ada.
That's fantastic. How did you get all these stories for the book? The book, is near 200 pages. This is, Blake's biological family here first, Andy, Dorothy, and Dick, and then so many pictures of you and Larry as well. How did you get the interviews for these books? How many interviews did you have to do? Where did you go to find all of these stories? Because you didn't meet him until he was 12.
Well, I didn't go anywhere. I just remembered the stories from Dorothy, his mother, telling me those early. I don't have too many stories before I actually knew him, so most of the stories, I lived them. But those early stories, like about the race where he stopped and got off to move a turtle and when he was little, those stories came from Dorothy, and I didn't really interview her. I just remembered her telling me those stories, through the years. You got to remember, we moved him to Nashville in 1994, and he didn't really get anything going till 2001, I believe it was. Yeah. So there was a lot of talking to his parents and coming back and forth to Ada. We didn't move out there till 96, so we've always stayed in close contact. And until he passed away, Larry talked to Dick every day.
His dad, Dick, yeah.
And I still talk to Dorothy quite a bit. Mm-hmm.
Well, and Carol, I wanted to make sure that people caught that. So you and Larry helped move Blake to his apartment in Nashville when he was 17. You moved out there. You and Larry moved to Nashville a couple of years later. When did you start thinking, boy, I think I might have enough to write a book about Blake if Blake is cool with it?
Well, I think it was around 2016, 17. We always, after he got to where he was touring all the time, we would go out once a year at least. Or Larry went out with him on the road and sold merchandise for a while just to keep the merchandise in his name. But I was teaching. After we moved I took early retirement in Oklahoma in 96, and we moved out there, and I didn't teach for a year, but I kept getting called to sub so much that I started teaching out there in 97. So I was teaching out there, and we just stayed in touch. I don't know what else to say.
And how did you bring up the book to Blake? You're seeing these pictures, by the way, from Carol's book is what you're seeing on screen.
Well,
yeah.
I get that's me. I start telling you one story, and it's not too long before I ramble off to another story.
Yeah. How did he tell you that it was okay to write the book?
It was in around 2016, 17, when we were out on one of those annual tours, and we were just sitting there one morning. Larry had already gone to breakfast, and Blake and I were just sitting on the bus. And I said, Blake, I've always, my whole life, wanted to write a book. I've taught reading for years, 35 years, actually. And I've always wanted to write a book. And I always told my students to write about what they knew and what they loved. and that it would be easy to write about. Of course, I was talking about just themes and things like that, not books. But I said, I figured out that what I know and what I love that other people might be interested in as well is you. You, Blake Shelton. And he said, well, go for it. And so I came home, and I did have to research for my prologue because it's all about the city that he grew up in. It's Ada. And I started my research on that. And then every night when I would go to bed, I would think about a story, and then I would get up and write it down. And then when I got ready, I put them all together in chronological order, along with the stuff that he did through the years, that the highlights mainly of his life, and the songs that hit #1, and how he had that long running streak of like 17 #1s in a row.
Right.
Every song he released went #1 for 17.
Well, Carol Kosh-Large is the author of the book is Happy Anywhere, Blake Shelton. You can buy it now. And Carol, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you.